everyone. How are y'all doing? Good? Well, this is a pinch me moment because who doesn't love a TED Talk, okay? Chris, your book, Infectious Generosity, is out now, and the premise of it is beautiful. But I need you to break this down for us because it sounds simple, and I want to do it, but I don't know how. And so I need you to explain to all of us how being selfless and generous can elevate the consciousness of others and make your life better and that of others better. It's so simple, but it seems really difficult.
Indeed. It's an amazing thing about humans that we are wired to be generous. Like, in certain circumstances, any human will respond to someone else's need by just viscerally wanting to help them. So that's amazing fact number one. Amazing fact number two is that we are wired to respond to people's generosity. If someone's kind to you, you just feel like you want to respond and do it. We're social beings, and we respond to others' behavior of whatever kind. If you put those two things together, and the fact that we're in a connected world like never before, it is possible to imagine these ripple effects of generosity spreading, because it's actually easier to give away amazing things today than it's ever been. Some of the best things can actually be shared online and shared with millions of people, and people respond to that. So why the heck is it that the world is so mean? This should be a glorious moment in human history. So many things are getting better, and yet most of the time we're out there thinking, the world is scary and mean, and we are getting divided into tribes, and I think it's really dangerous, and it's stopping us getting, it really imperils our ability to respond to the biggest problems we face. This book is an attempt to say, could we do something about that? Can we change the way that the connected world works so that generosity and kindness and goodness has a chance to outspread the nastiness?
So how do we do that? I know you have some examples of things.
Right. So often the problem is that goodness, earnest goodness, is boring. Evil is compelling. This is a human bug. And so one of the ways to fight that, I think there's three key things, really. And one of the most important is just creativity. When we tell stories of something good or do something good, do it in a creative way. So there are these, so let's say you want to clean up litter in the streets. You could just go out and do that and organize friends and shoot something for social media. Or you could do it like this group in Japan did, with creativity and panache. Be samurai, why not? How cool is this? So by picking up litter this way, they inspired thousands of other groups to do the same.
So there's a virality to it.
There is a virality from doing it. And so that's one piece. And two other pieces are just to unlock emotion. Anything emotional will spark virality, and to act with courage. And when you put those three things together, really amazing things can happen. So there's this woman, Amy Wolf, who was worried about suicide statistics in her town, and she decided to do something crazy. She went and printed up these yard signs that had kind of inspiring messages on them, and said, I know, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get in my car and knock on doors and ask my neighbors to put these up. What will happen? It turned out what happened is they all said yes. They were delighted. They put this up. This thing went wild on social media, a brave act, a creative act, and it evoked emotion. And these things are now in all 50 states and in 26 countries. It just started with this single thing, and it's changed lives. So Amy will tell you stories of, the man who was on his way to a bridge to kill himself, and he saw this sign saying, "Don't give up." And it struck him to the core. He turned his car around, went home, cried with his family, and rebuilt his life.
Where does this come from in you? I've spent some time with him for 30 minutes, and I feel he's an enlightened being. He would never admit that. But Are we inherently generous? Is this something that we teach our children? Is this something that you're born with? How do I teach this to my 2 little boys, 4 and 6?
It is something that we are all born with, except for a few psychopaths, but basically 99% of humans are born with generosity in there. But it needs unlocking. We're very complicated people. We lead busy lives, we have loss aversion. It's hard to give things up. The piece that we forget is that the act of being generous creates happiness and meaning. And it actually is of as much benefit to us as to the people we are giving to. And if we could spread that meme a little more, all boats rise. It is, generosity is fun. This is actually the fundamental point, that if you go away with one thing, go away with this. Generosity is asymmetric. It is, the cost to the giver is always less than the benefit to the receiver. It's easy for a rich person to give $100 away. That's a meal. For the poor person, that could be absolutely transformative for their week. Kindness, you can give someone a contact. It takes you a 10-minute email. For them, it changes their life, potentially. So if we knew this and also knew that that act brings us happiness, there is no reason why in this connected world, we couldn't be teaching each other the beauty and the power of being generous, and all boats would rise. We would combat the nastiness that's out there. But we need to nurture each other. We need to use every life hack we can think of, because this is our reflective higher selves battling our lizard brains. You know, that's what's going on.
So you're not just talking about the tangible. You're also just talking about being generous with your time, your heart. Tell me more things that we should be doing. I mean, what is something that everybody could do today? Is it reposting something positive on social media? I mean, we talked about how social media can be such a negative driving force in all of our lives.
100%. So we need to marshal generosity online. And one of the biggest acts, one of the most courageous acts you can do in today's culture is to be a bridge builder, to refuse to participate in the sort of shame game where we're turning each other into ogres and monsters, and instead say, no, look, listen to you. I'm curious about you. I don't agree with you. Explain to me why you are saying this. Or look for the people who are doing that and support them and like them and amplify them and repost them. There's amazing conversations going on out there that if we can attract the attention of the algorithms to those conversations, we can slowly turn the tide.
So you've talked about that infectious generosity, you can look at it in a strategic way. So if I were to strategize my life to be more generous, what are some of those things? How do you kind of play the generosity game here, strategize it?
Well, one smart thing to do is to team up. So hospitality is a beautiful form of generosity. Invite a group of friends to dinner and have a nice time. Sure, that's good, build friendship, but have a single conversation at that dinner that just says, hey, what do we each care about in our community? Is there anyone out there who could use our help? And have a conversation and see if there's any way you could team up to do something, because it is much, much easier and also more enjoyable as a team sport.
So we've talked about the internet and social media a little bit, but let's talk about the news media, right? We were speaking about how it's so much easier to report on the negative or to consume negativity. What is your answer to there being more positive news out there that we're consuming? Because explain that if we're consuming negativity all day, we have a mindset, right? Can you talk about that?
So this is a terrible problem in the modern world. There are two reasons why the news we read is bad. One is the human cognitive bias to threats, which is there for a perfectly good evolutionary reason, but it means you can win the media game by telling stories of threats. People will be drawn to that. Two, good things happen slowly, bad things happen quickly. This is a feature of the universe. It's a complicated place. To build something good takes time. So you can take years to build a beautiful building and a second to blow it up. If your news is looking for the most dramatic thing that has happened in the last few hours, it is almost always going to be a dramatic bad thing. And so we tell ourselves these stories, and we are storytelling creatures, and we are deluding ourselves into thinking that we are monstrous people living in a dark and dangerous time. When you pull the camera back and look at the actual data, you look at the good that organizations like Global Citizen and others are achieving, lifespans are getting longer. Poverty is falling. We are winning the battle on so many of the biggest challenges. And the stories we are telling are aggregating to a false picture. So we just need to be smarter about our news diet. We need to say, wait a sec, tell me the data. You know, we need to bring our reason and our thought to bear and not just be influenced by the impressions we get online.
You know, as we close, we're at 000, and I wish I could keep going. Life is hard and life is beautiful. And we all have our own journeys that we're going through. But if every single one of us could take something away from you, who has built such beauty in this world and really connected us all and inspired us, what is one thing that you hope we all think about today?
Just try something. Everyone can give in a different way. Be generous any way you can, and don't be surprised if a little whisper comes to you. Wow, that felt really special. I like that version of who I am. I'm feeling happy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe.